beautiful combination of nature and people. Human beings have very close relationships with nature. If one side starts to fall, then the other side will also fall. What would happen if the condition of people's life gets worse? Will nature stay beautiful independently? According to the movie Global Poverty, the poverty issue has been considered for a long time. In general, it is currently one of the most serious issues in the world. Researchers have brought up this issue many times, but the problem has not been solved. The poverty issue could get worse in the future, but the problem will not be getting any better. Poor people are living everywhere on the earth. Even now, there are people who are desperate to eat and drink. As time passes by, poor people's upcoming generation will live in a worse environment, and the world will lose another hope our bright future. In the other words, top of a few percent of rich people's future will be more abundant. From these facts, the differences between rich and poor people's living is increasing because of the global poverty. Since the nature and people are related to each other, there are another important object related to both earth beauty. It is the music. Music is everywhere in the world, which has important role of aspect in the movie Global Poverty. The whole movie is constructed with narrator and movie. In the beginning, movie starts with a slow tempo and soft dynamic of music. As the facts and information are getting into deeper, the music gets darker, faster, and louder. Narrator starts talking about the background and historical facts about the poverty. For instance, the health numbers of population in the earth are poor. The earth will depend on top 2% of rich people in the future. Every week, over 1 million people is swallowed by the poverty population. The movie mentioned causes of the poverty population, which is economic. Since world's economic is slowly decreasing, that means the entire world's future situation will be in worse condition. From the research, the author Nicholas Eberstadt proposed that the poverty issue has been one of the most serious problems since early 1900s. One of common facts about the poverty issue is most people are living in a resource-rich country. Decades ago, the great government defined as economic achievement depends upon a people's attributes and attitudes, but it is not longer exists. When government's living is wealthy, the citizens' living is poor because government spends most of the money for themselves. Even though the background music sets a mood of the issue, the images or action of characters would be easier to see serious of the poverty issue. In the movie, the action of characters would divide into two sides, rich and poor people. It is hard to catch up characters' actions of the movie because the movie starts with the general background of the poverty. As the issue gets into depth, the movie starts to contrast rich and poor people and shows crowd people in the city who are belongs under rich people category. The crowd people do not mean they are rich, but compared with people who are desperate for food and homes, crowd people could belong to rich people. The big city is full of buildings, cars, and the crowd people, where it's even hard to find empty spaces. Numerous cars are lined up with a long line, and crowded people are busy with moving on their way. On the other hand, the movie mentions poor people. Their actions seem very different than rich people. The crowd people were moving by individual, but the poor people were moving as group, like family and friends. Kids are playing in front of their house with friends. Parents are looking for food for water. Some people are on the boat for fish to sell, and people standing in front of house wants to buy food from the boat. Some kids are drinking water from lake. These actions are scenes we usually do not want to see often because it is too tragic. According to a Journal of Social Philosophy by David Sicharcourt, it talks about what we should do and why to fix the poverty issue. He brings up two philosophers' opinions, Peter Singer and Thomas Potts, for his argument. First, they both agree that the global poverty is a big problem in our nation, but their point of views are very slightly different about how to fix this issue. Singer came up with the idea that if the top 0.01% rich people can save more money from their spendings and to help poor people, the poverty issue will not be a problem any longer. On the other hand, Thomas Podge proposed we should not be hooked with the poverty issue because it is going to take us much more longer time than we think unless we share at least 1% of our income towards the poverty. Cheryl Clark's argument is related with the character's action from this movie because we feel more help poor people from seeing the actual scenes from poor people's living lives. If the poverty is a global issue, it's possible to narrow it down to a few countries for examples. The movie mentions few places where the poverty issue is getting into serious situation today. However, there is one research called Poverty in the United States, which is about the poverty in the USA. On the other hand, the movie points out Nigeria and Philippines and globalized. The research and movie's information is fitting together well enough to show examples of the poverty. From the U.S. Census Bureau report, from the 2008 to 2009 was the second significant annual increase poverty rate since 2004. This report is divided into a few different categories, which are race, age, nativity, residence, work experience, and family. African American had the most increased poverty rate, and age between 18 and 64 has highest increased poverty rate. Also, 87.6% of poor people were born in the same country where they are currently living. The movie mentions different examples of global poverty. For example, Nigeria is biggest oil exporter in the world, but 70% of population is living under poverty line. Again, it mentions half of world population is poor because of a resource-rich country. Another example was about the city of Legas in Philippines, which is the example of rich people population. Their population was 700,000 in 1960, that will rise 60 million by 2025. The movie also mentions the poverty in general. The gap between rich and poor people has been growing wider and it will get even wider in the future. The world is made to help to get to know each other. If more people have been considered people is in a wealthy environment, the gap between rich and poor people will not be worse today. Right now, it is not late to change our action. From the report about US, it is obvious to say that poor people are living very close to our neighbor. If just one country's situation is in bad condition, when we think the issue as in the worldwide, it is even getting more serious.